Clip in your seatbelts and get your turtle shell tossing arms ready. We're about to dive into the first ever mascot kart racer video game, Super Mario Kart, on the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. Released in 1992, this game went on to be present at just about every party, sleepover, or gaming tournament in its time. In the years and decades to follow, it would be followed up by a plethora of sequels on multiple consoles, handhelds, and even in arcades. Not bad for a game that first started out as a two-player F-Zero. It didn't even begin with Mario characters at all. Rather, someone just popped Mario's head onto a racer for fun during testing, and it ended up looking better than the models that they were intending to use. It immediately spawned the question, what if Mario and friends were to race each other? Just like any racing game, racers can tend to be the first to cross the finish line of the game's racetracks after a total of 5 laps. Aside from the fact that you were playing as Mario characters, what really set Mario Kart apart was the inclusion of items that you can collect by driving over question blocks. These items played a key role to either help you or hinder your opponents. There were green shells that you could shoot forward like a missile, but it could also bounce off walls for some major chaos. Red shells acted mostly the same, except they would home in on the next racer in front of you. These red shells are flimsier though, and could easily be knocked out by an obstacle. Banana peels were dropped behind you to spin out anyone who dared to come up on your 6. You could also do this with green shells too by holding down on the D-pad when you hit the button. Mushrooms gave you a momentary boost of speed, and the feather allowed you to do a quick high jump. These could be used to take advantage of shortcuts that were littered around every track. The Starman turned you invincible for a few seconds and gave you a minor boost of speed to catch up and ram whoever got in your way. If you were lucky enough to get a lightning bolt, it would spin out all your opponents and shrink them for a pretty lengthy period of time. This would allow you to bump them out of your way or even squish them for an even worse momentum killer. In 2-player mode, you can get a ghost, which steals your soon-to-be ex-friend's item and render you unhittable for a little while. And finally, the coin, which gives you 2 coins on activation. Speaking of coins, the tracks are littered with them. You start every race with a small amount of coins based on your starting position. Once you have 10 or more, your kart's top speed will increase slightly. Where coins end up being a little more important though is when it comes to collision. Anytime you collide with a fellow racer, you lose a coin. But if you hit them while having no coins, you immediately spin out. That's the last thing you want happening in a tight race. Aside from the other racers, you also have to avoid a bunch of obstacles and hazards, like thwomps, Monty moles, pipes in the middle of the track, oil spills, ice blocks, and of course, pits, whether they be water, lava, or a drop into the abyss. There are some helpful course objects too, like the jump bars that spring you into the air a bit, or the speed chevrons that would give you a speed boost like a mushroom would. Sometimes they even get combined for some fun and unique course designs. It's possible to navigate all the courses by using simple turning, but if you really want to become a speed demon, you'll need to master the art of the drift. Tapping either the L or R shoulder buttons will make your racer do a little hop, and holding the button while turning will activate drifting, which allows you to make tighter turns. It's not easy to do, but that's what sets apart the cup winners from the participation ribbons. There's a total of 8 racers who are split into 4 groups of 2 that vary in strengths and weaknesses. Mario and Luigi are the well-rounded group who have the second best top speed and average acceleration, weight, and handling. Princess Toadstool and Yoshi form the group that have the best acceleration. They have average top speed and weight, but the worst handling capabilities. Bowser and Donkey Kong Jr. look to push racers around with the heaviest weight and highest top speed. However, with only average handling and the worst acceleration, it's difficult for them to recover after getting stopped. And finally, there's Koopa Troopa and Toad, the little guys. What they lack in having the lowest top speed and weight, they make up in having the second best acceleration and the best handling to take on all the twists and turns that the tracks have to offer. All the courses are also housed in groups called cups, which in a way acts like easy, normal, and hard modes, but only in how difficult the tracks are laid out. The Mushroom Cup holds the game's easier tracks that are relatively simple, but still serve well to train newbies in the ins and outs of the game. The Flower Cup tracks are more twists and turns, as well as introducing a track that has much more difficult terrain for handling. And the Star Cup tracks just compound on that further, with more difficult terrain and even more complexity to the tracks. But hold on, there's a secret cup called the Special Cup. The tracks here put everything you've learned in the prior 3 cups to the test, with even more difficult terrain and layout, including series staple Rainbow Road, which is thin, slippery, has plenty of superpowered thwomps, and has no borders whatsoever to protect you from falling off the edge. Despite the differences in difficulty between all these tracks, they all have one thing in common: they're very fun. Sure, they're super simple by today's standards of Mario Kart tracks, but it's that simplicity that helps showcase the creativity that came from having limited technology. There's a reason why a lot of these tracks have made multiple comebacks in future Mario Kart titles. Super Mario Kart offers 2 solo player modes and 3 2-player modes. Both 1 or 2 players can partake in the Grand Prix, where all 8 characters race to raise the gold on the podium. Right off the bat, you can choose which speed class everyone can top out at, between 50cc and 100cc. Eventually, you can unlock a secret 150cc, which is even faster. You choose a cup and race all 5 tracks, gaining points based on which place you finish in per track. Whoever has the most points wins the gold cup, and the lower 2 able to claim the silver and bronze cups. In this mode, the computer-controlled racers don't actually benefit from coins and some speed and jump boosts. They can't even use the question blocks to get items. Instead, they all have their own unique items and methods for stopping you. Mario and Luigi can go invincible if you stay in their proximity for too long. Princess Toadstool and Toad can toss a poison mushroom in front of you or behind them that will shrink you for a short period of time. Meanwhile, the rest of the racers can toss or drop some basic items that'll cause a basic spin out. These items are themed off of each tosser, with Bowser tossing a spinning fireball, Yoshi using an egg, Koopa Troopa using a static green shell, and Donkey Kong Jr., of course, using a banana peel. Having the computer-controlled racers using special methods of attack was a fun idea and did add to the challenge of the game, but I just wish that there was some kind of cap or cooldown on them. The CPU would just spam them over and over and over, and it was cute at first, but it got real annoying real fast. Especially Mario and Luigi, who were continuously using their invincibility, and very often making me yell out, "Don't you dare touch me!" Solo players could also choose time trial mode, where they can race a track all alone with no items or coins, and even some speed chevrons are removed, just to make the trials a bit more even. You could take a leisurely drive if you wanted to practice the courses, or you could race your wheels off and try to beat your personal bests, or even the staff times. These best times are also recorded and can be turned on as a ghost you race against. If 2 players just wanted to go head-to-head without anybody else around, there was the match race. The tracks in this split-screen mode came equipped with all their coins, items, and speed and jump boosts. But another unique mode was also available, in case the animosity got even higher. In Battle Mode, you choose between 4 arena-style courses and start out with 3 balloons each. Both players have to use item boxes littered all over to obtain offensive items to pop the other's balloons one at a time. The player who loses all of their balloons loses the battle. This was a really fun mode that allowed players to experience Super Mario Kart's most unique feature in a rapid format. This game controls really well. For a game as fast-paced as this, that's a must. Every input is responsive, so you have no excuse. Whether playing solo or with a friend, this game had massive amounts of replayability. No race was the same, and you never knew what items you were going to get, or when you were going to get them. The tracks provide some challenge and satisfaction when you manage to thread the needle between some obstacles, or drift past a corner just enough to keep your foot on the pedal. The gameplay of Super Mario Kart gets a 10 out of 10. The game's title screen already shows the kind of lighthearted fun you're going to have with this game. The title itself is sleek with a chrome-like shine to it, but the background looks like a simplified field with rolling hills passing by. The extra little childlike drawings that pass by are charming, and one of them actually tells you to press B to continue. The menus are brief, but designed nicely. When you're in the course selection menu, not only does it show you the overhead map of the currently selected track, the background of the menu also swaps to the matching environment as it passes by. A nice touch that gives a bit more immersion, plus a cool way to show off the Mode 7 graphics some more. With only 8 racers, it was an opportunity to focus on sprite quality, and boy did they ever. With a 24-point turnaround on all racers, they had to have been the most fleshed out sprite turns of its era. plenty of back view poses to make the player's view look smooth, and a decent amount of front-facing poses to round out the turn. With all that extra attention to detail, they made sure to use it as much as possible, as you not only see the models in the racing screen, they're also used on the map screen down below during one-player races. One seemingly odd detail, though, was the decision to give some characters a totally different pose while facing the camera that got tweened as they turned around. Mario and Luigi's were simple enough with their pupils moving up or down. Koopa Troopa's pupils did a funny little juggle, and Princess Toadstool would also wink as she turned. Toad's mouth would open? Odd, but okay. Bowser's mouth also opened, but in a much more menacing way. Where it gets really weird is Yoshi sticks his tongue out on his side profile view. So basically, his mouth is closed while facing away from camera, then sticks out as he turns, and then closes again when he faces the camera. Silly dino. And the biggest change comes from Donkey Kong Jr., who decides facing the camera was a perfect time to take his hands off the wheel and let out a roar. Seriously, it makes his spinouts even funnier to watch his hands flailing all over the place. Or when you see him in the rear view mirror, keeping pace with you, driving all around. Also, if you manage to win gold in any Grand Prix, you can see some unique animations per character too. A fun cherry on top to being crowned the top racer. Taking a look at the backgrounds and tracks themselves, they looked awesome. There were 7 standard tile sets, with the 8th being a unique one to the final track, Rainbow Road. Boasting vibrant colors and on-point Mario-verse theming, they even made smart use of textures that helped the new kids on the easy tracks or hid secrets on the hard tracks. While you're actively playing the game, it may be hard to really take in the visuals, but if you're able to watch some friends play, or even right now during this retro review, pay attention to the backgrounds and you'll see some smart use of the tile sets. The graphics of Super Mario Kart get a 10 out of 10. The title theme of Mario Kart is a classic tune that evokes the sense of the big race mixed with the fun-loving nature of a Mario game. It helps that this song has been reused and remixed in many of its sequels that keeps it living on. Each racetrack type had a song associated with them, adding 8 songs to the playlist, along with one that played specifically for battle mode. Mario Circuit is a classic racer's tune with subtle intensity. Donut Plains sounded like a leisurely drive along the countryside. Ghost Valley is a spooky song that evokes the creepiness of the ghost houses of Super Mario World. Bowser's Castle is a more intense reworking of the Super Mario World final fight with the King of the Koopas himself, my favorite song in the game. Choco Island's song had a bit of a Caribbean vibe, which also felt like a thinking man's tune, which matched the need for focus on its slippery tracks. But speaking of Caribbean, there's Koopa Beach with the island vibes, man. And on the opposite side of the coin, Vanilla Lake had a chilling but charming tune that evoked something close to a Christmas holiday sort of feeling. And finally, the unique track for Rainbow Road that had you feeling like this was the big race. The use of sound effects just further showcased the love that went into crafting this game. Every sound had a purpose and suited their use very appropriately. You would cringe at the sound of your tires ineffectively rolling through dirt, or the spin-out sound as you get rocked by your opponent. Depending on how good you were at drifting, the tire screeching could be a satisfying sound. And one of my favorite sounds in this game is when you nail a computer-controlled racer with a shell. The impact sound is jarring and so juicy to the ears. And it's something we haven't truly had since Mario Kart 64. Yes, Mario Kart Super Circuit gave it a shot, but it just fell flat on the GBA speakers, unfortunately. Another fun use of sound in this game comes in the form of the engines of the karts. There were 4 unique styles of engine sounds that were associated with the kart classes of the racers. Mario and Luigi's average karts were the standard engine noise, while Princess Toadstool and Yoshi's engines were a quiet and sleek hum. Bowser and Donkey Kong Jr.'s engines sounded deep and powerful. And Koopa Troopa and Toad had the wimpy but trying their best noises coming from their engines. Not only were these nice setting the kart classes apart, but it also helped in races as you would hear a kart coming up close to you, or you catching up to them. You cried as a kart sound whizzed past your recently spun out kart, or cheered in assured victory as your mushroom boosted your way past an opponent. The music and sound of Super Mario Kart gets a 10 out of 10. Remember earlier when I mentioned this game would be at every party, sleepover, or game tournament? Yeah, that included my experience too. Just about any gathering with a TV had a Super Nintendo with Mario Kart ready to host a bunch of kids calling "I'm next" over each other. In fact, I was the entertainment supplier. It was a known fact amongst my family and friends that I would carry around a plastic purple and green case with my Super Nintendo and games. Of course, we mostly played Mario Kart. This would keep going well past this game's release date, up until the newer Nintendo 64 came along. Amazing two-player times aside, even at home, this game was constantly making its way into my rotation. Every Grand Prix felt fresh, and just vibing on the tracks in time trial was a great way to pass the time on my own. And yes, even before mirror mode was a thing, sometimes I would just drive these tracks backwards, completely ignoring Lakitu telling me I'm going the wrong way. The nostalgia hit of Super Mario Kart gets a 10 out of 10. The word fun is a simple yet highly appropriate way to describe Super Mario Kart. It's fast-paced, charming, looks great, and is highly replayable. And if you don't want to take my word for it, just ask the 8 console sequels, 4 arcade spin-offs, a mobile game, and even a real-life RC racer game. Having all these variations come out over the decades, it feels like the series has grown up with the rest of us. Whether you're an OG racer or never even touched it back in the day, you need to go play Super Mario Kart right now and experience where the genre began. It's a spectacular time worthy of a gold cup.